Hello everybody. I'm gonna talk today about our observability in other DocIntel. So one of the important pieces that's what we integrated here is open telemetry, right? So you know that in the any agentic AI, RAG or this kind of systems, there's a lot of traversal that been happen. So the lineage, data lineage, and where the traversal happens are important. When I'm talking about the traversal in a sense that whenever the question is asked by the users, right? It goes to a set of context engineering user question. There is a system context, right? Then there's a tool calls, and the tool call has a tool results followed by the results. Then there is a in the RAG workflow there is a re-ranking process, right? So there's a whole bunch of work. Then it goes to the LLM synthesize, and then it gets back the answer. So what we did here is we have a full open telemetry stacks that is being put as a part of the process. What I'm gonna show you, I'll first log in as a users to showcase is one of our questions in the chat so that you can see that's how the workflow works here. Why did I connect here? The reason is I wanted to copy the MFA login. What I wanted to do, I wanted to do very simple stuff. I just logged in as a users. You see there is a my traces. My traces is basically the question that the user asked, right? So what I wanted to do, first I'm gonna ask some questions from the existing document that what it has. I can see that there is a lot of documents there, right? So out of the documents, I wanted to ask from one of the questions, right? So I wanted to clear everything, and maybe I wanted to ask from one of the lease documents, right? So because I have these documents selected, I will ask you what is this document, who are the what are different clauses mentioned in this lease document. So when I ask a questions, what happens is that DocIntel has a process of the ingestions. Ultimately, ingestion there is it goes the chunk embedding and also many different things, right? Um, so summarize these documents so that I'm just asking some questions, right? Look, don't worry about that. This is just a random documents. It doesn't necessarily need to be accurate. So it does try to summarize some of the items that exist in the documents right now. So if I go to the traces, you see summarize this list document. What are the different mentioned is different topics mentioned in the clause. It does not tell because clause I missed it, so it doesn't understand. Summarize the list document. You see, so that is the view is in the user. So the way I logged in that users, if I look at here, you're gonna see the bkd_108 is Yahoo. Now I'm gonna connect as a first as an admin because admin has a different type of view than the users, and I will explain why. So let me connect with the as a admin first. Now I'm connecting as an admin. So while connecting as an admin, it should supposed to show me something. I'm waiting for the admins. Yeah, it came back. So because I got the admin's passwords, so now I connected as admin. So while admin, you see that there is a more there is a traces. So this gives us the entire traces. So admin has the privilege to look at anybody's any traces. That means whatever the question that is being asked as a part of this process. And you see this is the admin's ID right now. Okay. So you understand that's how this works, and we know, and we have a different way we can filter chat or voice chat, right? If it's a voice chat, these are not the voice, so that so we did with the normal chats, right? So this is how there are some filtering options there. That is not that important, but most important pieces is that so you will gonna see that all the details that is being discussed here by the different users, the admin can basically see. Same as that the user will gonna see their only stuff, right? So for example, summarize the list document. When I ask these questions, you see there is a workflow that gets executed here, right? So these are the steps that happens when basically it traverses, and that is what the flow is. The user asks a question, request an user's context. When user asks a questions, right, summarize the list document, then request and user's context, it has some span metadata something, then it goes to questions embedding, created a dimension query vectors, right? It means that user questions is created with some kinds of dimensions and the vectors, right? So how does the user prompt look like, right? Is there any tool request happening? No, not at this stage, right? So those are the informations happens. There's a span metadata and so many different things. That's where basically dimensioning query, the question is broken up into small pieces based on the different dimension vectors. Then what happens is goes for the hybrid knowledge retrieval, right? It means at this stage it gets fired, right? It's for the semantic match, for the embedding match, right? So you see that here some of the prompts, what is my user questions, what is the tool that is being called at that time, the tool is getting called with some kinds of informations, tool request for is given that document ID, right? And then tool has a chunk count at that time, that some of the responses that came as a part of a semantic query. These are basically comes at this stage, right? So hopefully you understand that hybrid knowledge retrieval is what are the things that's been happening. Then what happens is there is a re-ranking that's been happening. So with the re-ranking, you're gonna see here, say this is a user prompt, right? And now the tool request is basically is giving the entire thing for the re-ranking, right? So it is giving the entire tool results, right, for doing the re-ranking, and then it's finalized getting the chunk count, that's it's synthesized and get the ranked results. You see that rank which documents, match type, vector, similarity, something, and it does a fantastic re-ranking on top of it. That's where the evidence re-ranking is happening. Then here basically LLM basically makes an assembly to put together how this happens, right? These also takes the every steps there is a time, right? 390 milliseconds, 5.59 seconds it takes for LLM to get an answers for the assembly. Then agent workflow context again take 0.5.6, right? Then what happens in this stage, right? There is not much stuff, right? Basically it is giving you additional information, then the LLM response generation, right? So at this stage, right, you are getting a generated response with user context. Then it says that what are the system context in this stage. User question summarizes the document. System context has a lot of things, that is the different thing that is being mentioned over there, right? So those comes as a part of a system prompt, right? Then there is a tool request that happens, right? And then there is a tool request as a corresponding tool response as a chunk count, right? So those came, and then finally it came as a part of the LLM finally did a response. After the re-ranking, it sends an LLM as a tool request with some of the information as well as the context. Based on that, these are the final responses that it comes back, right? So that's how the LLM response generations happen. It takes 5.65 seconds at this stage. So now response, grounded response, you see that's at the end, it is synthesizes and making a very nice thing. So that will take 8.64 seconds. So now you see that's how the entire workflow works, right? So how there are different steps, all the steps, what are the timeline that takes for each of the steps, all of these things getting recorded, right? So for example 8.64 second taken, how this is takes time, everything is basically captured here. And raw telemetry you can also see the traces, right? Or at each step, what are the different ID, what are the different type of thing, everything. So this is how the open telemetry traces are coming here. So there is in the background, there's open telemetry collector that's been running, and that's been running irrespective of these other DocIntels. This is a service, background container service that is being running, and we created few decorators, and that decorator is being basically sending for each of the activities. Either it's a document ingestions or the chat, right? So or even running an workflow for every cases we have the open telemetry racking, so the data lineage and how everything is being flowing across the systems is getting passed, and we have a way to check it from here, right? So this is the view, that's what I showed from the admin. Now why did I wanted to show separate admin and user? because think from this way, user doesn't need to know all this kind of complexity. They cares about the business, they care about the systems, so they do not need to know that's in every steps what's been happening, right? So that's why oftentimes that's user for this user these informations are overwhelming. So what we simplified over here is what is the system context, what are the different things, what we took this out. So for example, summarize this list document whenever this question comes, right? User will be able to see all of these things as a part of the timeline, right? The same thing they will be able to see. Flow also they will be able to see, but they will not be able to see all the details in every all the information that comes as a part of this process. Like LLM response generation, you see there's LLM response that is being coming, right? And there's a user prompt that is coming. So we are not giving them the every level of details, what is the system context and everything. I'm just wanted to show. So the user knows that from their standpoint, whatever they need to know as a part of the open telemetry, at the same time as a part of the flow timeline, and what can be the raw messages that it comes, so they get aware of that. But the admin has all the levels of details at each of the steps they will be able to know. So this is how our observability open telemetry traces is getting visualized by the users in the backend. We have a fantastic architectures in place. All the informations are getting stored to the GCS storage, all the traces for later historical analysis and a lot of important evaluations and many different things. On top of that, in the Postgres, we have a searchable way of getting the telemetry inserted from where it's basically pulled. So there is a retention policy we put in place. Based on that, you might be able to see the last 90 days of informations over there. So that's how our observability stacks, nothing to hide, all of these things exposed to the users. DocIntel is here to support you. That's the way you can think, that's way the question is answer is coming, you can know now that's how the it is being coming, right? So you have the full visibility of all of this thing. See you in the next video. Thank you. Bye.